In this video, we would like to explain about teaching vocabulary for elementary students, especially about hobbies vocabulary and the learning activities that will be used in the classroom. In this lesson, students will learn basic vocabulary related to hobbies, simple sentence patterns, and fun learning activities such as matching games and exercise. This video will show the definition of vocabulary teaching, the objective of the lesson, and the learning stage in teaching vocabulary for young learners. Okay, so the first is definition of vocabulary teaching. So vocabulary teaching is the process of introducing and helping students understand new words and their meaning so they can use them in speaking, reading, and writing. In elementary school, vocabulary teaching should be simple, clear, and also fun. Teacher can use picture, flashcard, games, gesture, and repetition to help students remember the word easily. Vocabulary is very important because it becomes the foundation of learning English. With a vocabulary, students cannot make a sentence or communicate in English. Now, objective of the lesson. The objective of this lesson are: the first, students are able to recognize basic vocabulary about hobbies, and the second, students are able to pronounce the vocabulary correctly, and the third, students are able to understand the meaning of the vocabulary. Number 4, students are able to use simple sentences like "What is your hobby?" and "My hobby is blah blah blah." And number 5, students are able to participate in fun learning activities such as matching games and exercise. And last is, students can build confidence in speaking simple English. So guys, after explaining the definition and objective of vocabulary teaching, now we will move to the first stage of the lesson, which is the opening stage. Now, my friend will explain the opening stage of the lesson. Please go ahead.
At the beginning of the lesson, I will jump straight into the material. So for the opening and material introduction at our first 25 minutes, I will start by building the context. So I will say something like, "Alright everyone, today we're gonna learn something fun and very close to your daily life. And we're gonna talk about hobbies." Then I get them to understand the meaning. A hobby is something you like to do in your free time, and it is something that makes you happy when you do it. Next, for the vocabulary introduction, I will introduce to them about 12 words that related with hobbies, like drawing, singing, cycling, and so on. But instead of just reading those words to my students, I will use the model repeat practice strategy that have 2 steps here. The first is modeling and the second is choral repetition. The first, modeling, in these steps I will pronounce the words, each word, like drawing, singing, reading, and so on, to give them example how to pronounce it well in English. And the second is choral repetition. So the students will repeat after me, but I don't just say like repeat after me. I will like pointing some group from students, or like just girl, just boy, or maybe individual students. For me, this keeps the class alive and prevents the boredom. And then I will connect words with the meaning, and maybe I will use some gestures or simple examples, like when I say cooking, I will pretend to stir the food, and when I say cycling, I will pretend to riding a bike. I think this helps students to linking the sounds, the meaning, and the action, the real action, not just memorize the meaning in Indonesian. And for sentence patterns introductions. After students are familiar with the words, I'll move to simple speaking structures and I will introduce to them about two key expressions. Like the first is, what is your hobby? For the question, and my hobby is for the answer. And I will demonstrate it to my students. Like when I ask one student, what is your hobby? She or he will be answer, my hobby is reading, for example. And then the guided practice for confidence building. So I will let some students trying to say about what are their hobbies, and then they will pointing some of students to say their hobbies at the same way.
Okay, and now I will explain about teaching vocabulary for elementary students. First is a principle of vocabulary teaching. The principles are simple to help young learners learn new words easily. And first is repetition. Repetition, students need to hear and see words many times, and teacher can repeat words through songs, games, and simple activities. And second is understanding. Students should understand the meaning, not only memorize. And teacher can use picture, gesture, and real object. And the third is fun learning. Students learn better when they enjoy the lesson. So, teachers should use games, songs, and interesting activities. And for the last is practice. And students should practice using the word in simple sentences or speaking activities. And D is stage of vocabulary teaching. After knowing the principle, now let's move to the stage of vocabulary teaching. In this part, I will focus on the practice stage. The practice stage is when students use the vocabulary they have learned through activities. And for example of practice stage, we can use a game called picture word matching. The game preparation, we need hobby and vocabulary flashcard, whiteboard, visual media or gesture, a classroom space that allows movement. How to play? First, prepare 12 picture card and 12 word card and do not combine them. Then, put all the cards on the board randomly. Divide students two or three groups. Each student takes turn to come forward and match the card. And for the instruction, the teacher says, match the picture with the correct word. And for the procedure, the teacher says, go. Students run to take one card, then they match it with the correct pair. In this activity is an example of the practice stage. It helps students use vocabulary in a fun and activities way.
For the closing activities at our last 25 minutes, it is the practice and reinforcement part. So I will give them two types of exercises. There are exercise A and exercise B. The first is exercise A. So it is the fill in the missing letters exercise. Here the students will complete an incomplete word, like for example drawing. There are some letters missing here, like W or G, so they should complete it with the right letters. It will help students to recall vocabulary from memory and connect pronunciation with written form, and it will be strengthen the retention for them. For these closing activities, I will walk around the class while they work and checking and helping them quietly. And the next is exercise B. So it is the answer based on picture exercise. Here, students will be answer with a written form. So I will give them some pictures on their worksheet, and they will answer it by writing the answer below the pictures. Like, for example, my hobby is reading, so they will write my hobby is reading based on what someone do on the pictures. For the exercise A, I will give 1 to 7 number, and for the exercise B, I will give them 8 to 12 number. At the end of the lesson, I would like to reinforce the learning by asking them like, so what did we learn today, students? And students might answer hobbies, and how to say hobbies. My hobby is like that. So that's all.